At just 21 years old, her appearance at a major film premiere in February 2025 unexpectedly set off a storm of reactions across the internet. Within hours, comment sections filled with thousands of opinions as viewers tried to interpret the striking impression she left on the red carpet. Some observers felt her look carried an unusually mature presence, prompting curiosity, surprise, and endless discussion about how style, lighting, and presentation can dramatically shape the way an image is perceived. Yet the conversation did not fade there. Soon after, another moment captured the public's attention: a 28-year-old star walking the red carpet at this year's Met Gala. To many viewers online, the transformation in styling and atmosphere created an illusion that made her seem far older than expected, with some even suggesting she appeared close to 50. The contrast sparked another wave of debate, reminding audiences how powerful fashion, camera angles, and public perception can be in shaping the stories we tell about famous faces. This moment naturally leads to a broader question. Could the intense spotlight placed on public figures create expectations about appearance that most people never have to face? What began as simple online reactions has slowly turned into a deeper conversation about perception, identity, and the way modern audiences interpret age and natural change. In many ways, it reflects the challenges an entire generation experiences while navigating images, trends, and constant public attention. The discussion is less about judging individuals and more about understanding how quickly impressions can form in the digital era. If this topic resonates with you, share your perspective in the comments. Different viewpoints always make the conversation more meaningful. And if you enjoy thoughtful stories like this, consider liking the video and subscribe so you can stay connected with future discussions. Bella Hadid is one of the most recognizable supermodels in the world. Now 28 and approaching 29 inches 2025, her transformation has remained a frequent topic of discussion in fashion and entertainment media. Over the years, many comparison photos from her early teenage years to her current runway appearances have circulated online, often highlighting how dramatically her public image has evolved. Bella has openly shared that she had a nose procedure when she was very young, which later became part of a broader conversation about beauty standards in the modeling industry. Beyond that, much of the online discussion involves speculation, with observers pointing to styling, makeup techniques, and the natural changes that come with growing up in front of the camera. Whatever the reasons behind the differences people notice, her journey reflects how intensely the fashion world and the internet can focus on the evolving image of a global supermodel. Online discussions about Bella Hadid often swing between exaggeration and admiration. On forums like Reddit, some users dramatically claim she looks far older than her age, while others argue that cosmetic treatments have made her appear more sculpted and refined. Much of this debate centers on the idea of facial volume, particularly the role that natural cheek fullness plays in creating a youthful appearance. In aesthetic medicine, those soft facial fat pads help maintain balance and smooth contours. When the face appears slimmer or more sharply defined, it can change how age is perceived on camera. Because Bella's look has become so recognizable, some people even refer to it when discussing modern beauty trends. In the end, her transformation highlights a larger conversation within the fashion world about how evolving beauty ideals and the desire for highly defined features can strongly influence the way faces are styled, photographed, and interpreted by the public. Since around 2020, many observers have noticed that Bella Hadid appears to have a slimmer facial profile, with cheekbones that look more sharply defined than in her earlier years. This change has fueled ongoing conversations online, with some people suggesting that the shift reflects a strong preference in modern fashion for sculpted, angular features. As a result, her current look often gives the impression of greater maturity compared with her teenage photos. At the same time, discussions about specific procedures remain largely speculative. Facial appearance can change for many reasons: natural aging, lighting, makeup techniques, weight fluctuations, and evolving beauty trends all play a role in how someone looks on camera. Bella's transformation has therefore become part of a broader conversation about how early career decisions, styling choices, and the fast-moving standards of the fashion industry can shape the way a public figure's image evolves over time. In 2025, Amelia Hamlin was 24 and steadily building her career in modeling and reality television. As the daughter of Lisa Rinna, she has been in the public eye for years, but many people were surprised when they learned her real age. Online discussions, including threads on Reddit, often featured users guessing she was closer to 30 or even older. Much of that reaction likely comes from perception rather than confirmed facts. Her sharply styled fashion, defined makeup, and naturally delicate facial structure can create a more mature impression on camera. When those elements combine with the polished aesthetic common in high-fashion modeling, it can easily make someone in their early 20s appear older than viewers expect, showing once again how styling and public image strongly shape the way age is interpreted. Another factor often mentioned in discussions about Amelia Hamlin is her connection to a celebrity circle where appearance and image are constantly in the spotlight, including figures associated with the Kardashian-Jenner family. In that environment, beauty trends, advanced makeup techniques, and highly polished styling are widely normalized, especially within fashion and entertainment spaces. As a result, public figures in that circle are often expected to maintain a very refined and camera-ready look at all times. Because of this, some observers naturally wonder how such early exposure to intense beauty standards might shape someone's long-term image. However, many experts also point out that appearance can change in countless ways over time due to natural aging, lifestyle, and evolving fashion trends. What these conversations really reveal is a broader concern about how powerful beauty expectations in celebrity culture can influence the way young public figures present themselves and how closely the public watches every stage of that journey. Dove Cameron was once widely recognized as the bright, youthful star of the Liv and Maddie on Disney Channel, known for her soft, radiant look that fit perfectly with her early roles. Fast forward to 2025, and at 29, her image has evolved into something very different, reflecting a more mature artistic direction. Online discussions, including threads on Reddit, have reacted strongly to this transformation, with many viewers comparing her earlier style to her current, more dramatic aesthetic. But changes like these often come from shifts in fashion, makeup trends, and personal identity as artists grow older. Rather than signaling something unusual, it may simply reflect the natural process of a performer, redefining her image while moving from a teenage television career into a more mature creative space. The transformation of Dove Cameron has surprised many longtime fans and sparked conversations about the pressures surrounding appearance in the entertainment world. When someone rises to fame at a very young age, especially through platforms like Disney Channel, even small changes in style or image can quickly become a major topic online. Discussions on platforms such as Reddit often compare past and present photos, but these reactions also reveal a larger issue. Constant public commentary can create intense pressure for young stars who are simply growing up while millions of people watch. In the end, moments like this highlight a broader question about how celebrity culture and social expectations influence both the public image and the personal well-being of artists who began their careers at such an early age. Some cosmetic specialists have speculated that Dove Cameron may have experimented with procedures that create a more sculpted facial look, similar to trends often discussed around Ariana Grande. Observers point to sharper facial contours and fuller lips as possible signs of modern aesthetic styling, though such claims are rarely confirmed and remain part of public speculation. For someone still under 30, these conversations can quickly become intense. Fans frequently share side-by-side photos comparing her early career image around 2015 with her current appearance. However, differences like these can also result from evolving makeup techniques, lighting, fashion trends, and the natural process of growing into adulthood. What the discussion really highlights is the pressure many performers face to maintain a polished, seemingly timeless image. As Dove continues to explore new creative directions in her career, the shift in style, lifestyle, and artistic identity has naturally contributed to the noticeable evolution of how she presents herself today. The transformation of Dove Cameron has not only surprised fans, but also sparked deeper questions about the pressures within the entertainment world. Young performers are often expected to maintain a flawless image while constantly adapting to new trends, and that expectation can create intense attention around every change in appearance. Side-by-side comparisons of past and present photos frequently circulate online, but these discussions also highlight a broader concern. When public figures grow up in the spotlight, even normal shifts in style or maturity can become major talking points. In the end, the conversation is less about one person's look and more about a larger issue: how beauty standards, public expectations, and constant scrutiny can shape the experiences of young stars as they evolve both personally and professionally. In her early years, Dove Cameron was widely recognized for a youthful and radiant image that matched her roles on Disney Channel. Today, at 29, some online discussions suggest she appears older than expected, with users on platforms like Reddit sharing mixed reactions when comparing older photos to her current style. Much of this conversation reflects how dramatically her public image has evolved from a beloved television star to a darker, more experimental music persona that often circulates widely on TikTok. Changes in makeup, fashion, lighting, and artistic direction can strongly influence how someone is perceived on camera. Rather than pointing to one single cause, her transformation highlights how shifts in style and creative identity can quickly change the way audiences interpret a celebrity's age and appearance. Many people note that some aesthetic procedures can be difficult to reverse once they're done. While they may create a polished look at first, changing facial volume or structure can sometimes affect the natural balance of the face over time. Since youthful features often rely on harmony between bone structure, skin elasticity, and natural fullness, even small adjustments can change how a face is perceived later on. In discussions about Dove Cameron, this idea often comes up as part of a bigger conversation about beauty trends and long-term choices. It reminds audiences that quick image changes may attract attention in the moment, but natural aging and personal style will always shape how someone's appearance evolves in the future. Sadie Sink, known from Stranger Things, was 23 inches 2025 and often becomes part of interesting comparisons online. While viewers say she looks slightly older than her age, many also note that she appears more youthful than her co-star Millie Bobby Brown, who is actually 2 years younger. The difference, many fans point out, often comes down to styling and presentation. Sadie usually keeps a more natural look, with soft makeup and fuller facial features that maintain a youthful balance. As a result, she appears mature but still close to her age, showing how subtle styling choices can strongly influence how the public perceives someone's appearance. Some experts say that restraint and balance can play an important role in how a person's image evolves over time. The comparison between Sadie Sink and Millie Bobby Brown has often been used online to show how different styling choices and public images can influence the way audiences perceive age. Sadie tends to present a more natural, understated look, while Millie's red carpet styling sometimes leans toward a more dramatic and mature aesthetic. The key takeaway many observers highlight is that there isn't just one right approach to personal style. However, these conversations remind people that image decisions, especially under the spotlight of fame, can shape how the public interprets someone's appearance. For young celebrities growing up in front of millions of viewers, learning to navigate those choices can be one of the most challenging parts of building a long-term career. Post Malone is around 30, placing him near the edge of this list, but his appearance has also drawn attention over the years. Earlier in his career, some people felt he looked older than his age, a perception influenced by factors like his weight, facial tattoos, and the intense lifestyle that often comes with touring and fame. However, his story took an interesting turn. In 2023, Post Malone shared that he had lost nearly 60 pounds, about 27 kilograms, and was feeling healthier than before. He explained that becoming a father motivated him to make positive lifestyle changes, which gradually transformed both his health and his overall appearance. Today, Post Malone appears noticeably healthier than he did a few years ago, making his story feel like a reverse transformation. Instead of gradually looking older, many fans feel he now appears more refreshed after making positive lifestyle changes. His journey highlights how factors like sleep, nutrition, exercise, and stress management can strongly influence how a person looks and feels over time. His well-known facial tattoos remain a defining part of his image. While they naturally give him a more distinctive and mature appearance, they also reflect a personal artistic choice. In many ways, his story shows that lifestyle decisions and self-expression can shape public perception just as much as time itself. Kylie Jenner is only 28, yet her appearance often becomes a major topic during high-profile events. At the Met Gala in May 2025, online discussions quickly filled with reactions, with some viewers saying her dramatic styling made her appear much older than expected. Similar conversations had already started months earlier after photos from Paris Fashion Week in June 2024 circulated widely online. Some fans even compared her look to that of Jennifer Lopez, who is in her 50s. Comments from beauty professionals and social media users added to the debate, but the situation also highlighted the emotional toll such scrutiny can bring. In an episode of The Kardashians, Kylie became visibly emotional while speaking about the constant criticism surrounding her appearance. The moment reminded viewers that behind the headlines and comparisons, public figures still face the very real pressure of being judged by millions of people every day. The constant criticism eventually pushed Kylie Jenner to address bigger questions about the cosmetic treatments she chose when she was younger. She has openly acknowledged using lip fillers, explaining that it was a personal decision made during a time when she was under intense public attention. However, discussions around these treatments often highlight that aesthetic procedures don't always behave exactly as people expect. Specialists note that fillers can sometimes change shape or settle differently over time, which may subtly affect how the face appears in photos or under bright lighting. Conversations like this have become part of a broader debate about beauty standards, personal choice, and the pressure young public figures face while trying to maintain a certain image in the spotlight. Kylie Jenner has spoken openly about how difficult the experience has been at times, admitting that the outcome wasn't always what she expected. She explained that when she first made those choices, she didn't imagine how much things could change later. Starting aesthetic treatments at a young age before the face has fully matured can sometimes lead to results that evolve differently over time. In discussions about fillers, specialists often note that these treatments don't always behave exactly as people assume. Instead of disappearing quickly, they may gradually settle or change shape, which can subtly affect facial balance in photos and under strong lighting. Conversations around Kylie's experience have therefore become part of a larger debate about beauty standards, personal decisions, and the pressure young public figures face while growing up in the spotlight. Over the years, discussions around Kylie Jenner have often focused on how repeated aesthetic treatments might influence facial balance over time. Starting cosmetic enhancements at a young age can sometimes lead to adjustments later on, and Kylie has even shared that she chose to reduce some of her lip fillers as her preferences and style evolved. Like many beauty treatments, results can change gradually, and correcting or refining them may take time. What many observers point out, however, is that Kylie grew up entirely in the public eye. From a very young age, she faced constant attention and intense expectations about her appearance. In that environment, the pressure to look a certain way can be overwhelming. Her story, therefore, highlights a broader issue within celebrity culture: how young public figures often navigate beauty standards and industry advice long before they fully understand the long-term impact of those choices. This story becomes especially interesting when looking at Billie Eilish, who will be turning 23 by the end of 2025. On platforms like TikTok, comments sometimes appear suggesting she looks older than her age, with some people quickly assuming cosmetic procedures might be involved. However, Billie has publicly spoken against trends like fillers and Botox, saying she prefers to age naturally and has even criticized the beauty industry's obsession with eternal youth. So why do some viewers perceive her as older than 23? Much of it likely comes down to artistic presentation. Billie's fashion often leans toward mature, dramatic styles, and her calm, serious stage presence combined with the emotional, reflective tone of her music can create a more grown, thoughtful image. When those elements come together, they naturally shape how audiences interpret her age and persona. All of these elements together can shape how audiences perceive Billie Eilish today. She began her career at just 14, which means nearly a decade spent under constant public attention, touring, recording, and navigating global fame. Years of intense schedules and non-stop scrutiny can influence how a public figure carries themselves, even without any cosmetic treatments. Her story highlights an important point. Appearing older than one's age isn't always about procedures like Botox or fillers. Lifestyle, artistic style, and the emotional weight of growing up in the spotlight can shape a person's presence just as much. In Billie's case, her mature fashion, thoughtful personality, and the reflective tone of her music all contribute to an image that feels older and more serious than her early 20s. In some ways, the pressure of early fame can be even more challenging than choices about appearance. When artists like Billie Eilish step into the spotlight at a very young age, they grow up while millions of people watch and comment on every change. That constant attention often brings intense expectations about how they should look, behave, and evolve over time. As a result, young stars don't just experience normal personal growth, they also face ongoing public judgment and comparison. This kind of scrutiny can create significant stress, and sometimes makes performers feel pressure to adapt their image to meet audience expectations. Stories like Billie's highlight how the emotional weight of fame can shape a person's journey just as much as any visible change in appearance. The earlier someone becomes famous, the more difficult it can be to handle the pressure that comes with constant attention. Young stars like Billie Eilish often grow up while millions of people watch their every change, which can sometimes lead to decisions they later view differently as they mature. Before reaching the final example, it helps to step back and see the bigger picture. The conversation isn't only about individual celebrities, it reflects a wider issue in modern culture: the intense expectations placed on public figures, especially those who enter the spotlight at a very young age. Behind the performances and carefully crafted images, there are real stories of pressure, growth, and the inevitable changes that come with time. These celebrities aren't changing only because of genetics. Many observers believe the fast-moving entertainment world plays a role as well, an industry where image, trends, and constant comparison can create the feeling that perfection is always just out of reach. In that environment, even small changes in style or appearance can quickly become major public conversations. What's especially thought-provoking is how a generation encouraged to focus on preventive beauty is now questioning whether chasing perfection too early might bring its own challenges. In the end, these stories remind us that behind the spotlight are real people navigating pressure, growth, and the natural passage of time. If this topic made you reflect on the pressures young stars face, comment 1 if you empathize or 0 if you see it differently. And if you enjoy discussions like this, consider liking the video, sharing it, and subscribing so you won't miss more fascinating stories ahead.